Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Please welcome Bob Paulson and Claire Ray.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Thank you all.
There you go, man. All right, so we're going to talk, like, if you guys hear us, I don't know, can you talk loud? Do you want to use this?
All right.
Okay.
I'll find a way. Jeez.
Oh, that sounded like
Stepped on a dog.
that hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, are you all mic'd up? Can you hear me, Adam? Okay, sweet.
Good shape.
All right, sweet. Well, thanks for showing up. I got
sure.
this on here because my butt is freezing.
This is cold.
So this, do you want to use this? 'Cause this is
No.
probably warm.
That's all right.
All right, let me just throw this in here.
Where's that dog?
Where's that dog? No, I put it on here earlier because I sat on here. I'm like, holy crap, this is like really cold. Well, thanks for being here. I really
Definitely.
appreciate it.
Nice fireside chat with the crew.
We did have a fire that we were going to put up here, and I was talking to Brian. Where's Brian? Right? Where's he at? Right over here. He had on his computer a little fire burning I was going to put up here, but I couldn't get it to work, so we can pretend.
Technology's great when it works.
So just get close, and we'll keep ourselves warm. So anyways, well, thanks for showing up.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great. So we typically start out these conversations with kind of tell me where you grew up, you know, kind of where you're born, not what hospital you were born in and you were 3 pounds, 10 ounces, whatever the heck it is, but up to about right before you went to college. Just
All
give
right.
everybody kind of a context of
I'm
where
still
you're from.
growing up.
Well, I know, we all are. We all are.
Sure. I came out of Wisconsin originally, Midwestern. You know, pretty grassroots there. Kind of higher end of the blue collar range, I guess. Just outside Milwaukee, Brookfield, Wisconsin. Ended up going to Madison, Wisconsin, the party school. Back in the day, we took a lot of pride in making sure that party rating system was called the Madison rating system.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but I'm sorry, it was before college. Is that what you asked?
Yeah, you're not quite
Sorry,
there yet.
I moved right into some of the favorite parts.
We know where your mindset. We got it.
Yeah, so no, I grew up. My dad owned actually a small business, brick and tile company, and I started working there when I was about, I guess, 14. I don't think the guys in the brickyard really wanted me to be there because they'd always make me go clean up the pebbles on the driveway, which is like, why am I here? But I do think about it a lot, especially in the technology game that we're all playing. How I remember back in the day when my dad was, you know, I'm 14 years old or whatever, and I'd go, you know, after picking up some rocks, I'd go up and say hi, see how he's doing, and he's behind the big desk, and there's no computer. You know, he just got done with the 2 or 3 martini lunch, and he's got a cigarette. And I think back to that, and I'm like, can you imagine how long it would take to get anything done? It's just incredible. So, anyways, I made it through there. Ended up, I played a lot of tennis when I was a kid, and but on the side, I kept doing various jobs. Worked at Kohl's. Everybody knows Kohl's department store. It costs you more money not to shop there or something, you know, because of the discounts.
It's kind of like the Bed Bath & Beyond, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was there the other day, and the lady goes, you don't want to use that coupon, you want to use this one,
Right,
you'll save more
exactly.
$30. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. You know?
Right, thanks.
Sweet.
Helping out the firm. So back then, though, Kohl's is a grocery store, and you know, total Midwest style. I used to mop that grocery store by hand. I also got my first taste of working for a union job at, you know, 15 and a half, 16, and I had, well, my paycheck was $3 an hour or something, and $1 goes to the union. I was like, where are these people? So having my dad run a small business and then having a paycheck go to the union, I think I was starting to lean towards small business right from the early stages, because I also, in all the days I was playing tennis, I thought it was so cool that my dad could leave his job and come and watch me play, you know, and match would start at 4:30 or whatever, and he'd always show up looking sharp, and a lot of other dads weren't there. They were all working for big companies, didn't have quite the flexibility, and he also seemed to throw a lot of holiday parties. So, you know, I could see that coming a mile away every time Thanksgiving got past that. Then there were just cases of various items, you know, to help people let their hair down, I guess. But So yeah, those are, I guess, there's some of the formative years there, and let's see what else would be interesting.
So you
I
decided
was
to go
also a
to
pizza delivery guy.
pizza delivery. Okay, yeah.
Pizza delivery. That was quite a job, working for the most expensive pizza in town, Peppino's, and I remember getting a $5 tip. I couldn't believe it back then. And in between, when I would deliver pizzas, it was also fun. Everybody was friends that worked there, so I'd go help out with. Once in a while, I'd help the guys doing the dishes, but it was usually just motivational help because I couldn't get my hands wet because I had to hop in the car soon. But the other thing that stood out about that one was, you go down in the basement of these nice restaurants. It was clean enough, making some boxes, but I remember they had these, huge packs of mozzarella, and then you had to grind them in the grinder. It was like a shop class, from high school, and you grind the cheese, and I'll tell you what, that stuff, that was
So instead of having your hands
unbelievable.
wet, they're full of cheese,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Okay, got it.
It was kind of a Wisconsin tradition. That was
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
You could just stick your hands in anybody's
biggest ball of
cheese.
cheese,
Right.
Sweet, I love it.
No problem.
I love it.
So,
That's cool.
So yeah, there were, that was kind of the work side of youth. But yeah, there were, plenty of challenges too. I had older sisters, 7 and 9 years older. They helped me grow up pretty quickly.
Share the ropes?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it was mainly just so I couldn't tell on them when they had parties.
No, gotcha. Okay.
At 10 years old, I was, I had some pretty interesting experiences for a 10, 11-year-old. But when I think back, I think a lot of times my wife would probably echo, I kind of had to raise myself because I have 2 older sisters, and my parents were having a blast, and by the time I showed up, it was like, you're fine on your own.
You're number 3,
So,
man, right?
Oh yeah, number 3 and the only boy, and so I was alone a lot and did a lot of my own stuff. My mom was a huge tennis player. She ended up being number 7 in the country in women's 35s. She was number 1 in the state of Wisconsin, singles, doubles, mixed doubles for about 8 years straight.
Sweet.
And so I spent a lot of time in the back of a station wagon too, with my Matchbox cars and a sleeping bag or whatever, just rolling around. You can't do that anymore.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, because
The
those
no
are some
seatbelt
great
thing.
memories.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
the
yep.
stupid seat belts.
What were seatbelts? We didn't know what those were back then.
Yeah, so, but, she always, it got me hooked certainly into tennis, and it's a pretty competitive sport, and that actually had some huge impact really on my life. I taught tennis. I ended up, fortunately, I was one of the only kids that didn't take the high-end lessons and whatnot. I was just park and rec, but I ended up making it to state a few years. We had a real good team, and I ended up taking, I made it to the semifinals in my senior year, and after that, I ended up teaching tennis to hundreds of kids. I then went back and taught park and rec, and then taught, was the coach of some high school girls teams, which was pretty interesting. But my girls won conference.
Yeah, sweet.
So, but
Good
boy,
for you.
I got such a joy out of helping somebody hit their stride, hit the sweet spot, and you could just see them light up. And if I could help somebody take that step with whatever they cared for, and in that case it was
Good.
tennis, it
Yeah.
really impacted me tremendously. And I swear that had something to do with where I am today, just loving to help people find their groove and feel confident about whatever it is that they're doing.
Good.
And so, yeah, I still love the sport. There's a guy on my tennis team right over there.
All right.
There's James.
Tennis is a great sport. I did that myself, so I can certainly appreciate
Let's
that.
get out there
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, it's a deal.
tomorrow.
All right.
See
Go.
you at Wash
I don't
Park.
know tomorrow, man.
Wash Park,
I
here
like
we
you a
go.
lot, but not that much.
Yeah.
Too freaking cold then.
I'll see you at 7:15.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'll be there. So I want to know a little bit. So that was good. You went to college, got out, whatever. You did your deal. Where'd you get your degree in, by the way?
Marketing and management.
Okay.
I
Really?
love psychology. I love the
But you
psychology
started
of
out
people.
doing that, though. You didn't, did you?
Well, I don't know how many people start
well,
out knowing
sure.
what they're
Yeah.
doing. It was all general stuff, but I knew I wanted to go into business.
Why?
My
What
dad.
made Okay.
I
all right.
think that was it. It struck me right, and fortunately, once I got into college, I was able to, it was an amazing step, and I hope a lot of people went through something similar. It's almost like a chance to step back and figure out who you really are, and find the people around you in a big school like Wisconsin.
Well,
It was
math
easy
is
to,
huge,
yeah, and it was amazingly easy actually to find so many people that were kind of taking that same step together. And
What made it easy? I mean, it's a big school.
yeah, maybe I was just lucky. I don't know. You get comfortable with yourself. You go out and you do your own thing. Well, another, I guess, telltale that kind of stopped in college. From the time I was in like 7th grade, is for real, until I was a freshman in college, I laid awake every night for about an hour thinking about my day. Well, I had some, we all had challenging times and growing up, and I just had a lot of friends that turned on me in 7th grade, and this sounds a little corny, I guess, but I wouldn't pick on certain kids, and so everybody turned on me, and so it hurt so much. The principal was calling my mom, and I'm like, "Well, Mom, what are you doing here?" But I literally would lay in bed every night thinking about what happened all day long, what went right, what went wrong, how to make me feel, how can I change that next time? And I really figured out how to not put myself in bad positions from those early experiences. And by the time I got into college, and this is where part of it was, well, in college, you really start exploring everything, and I couldn't stay up at night. I was up all
You're
night.
up all night,
Yeah,
right?
right. So there was no
night.
time to.
Just went from day to day.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. I just found I had comfort and confidence in myself, and found a lot of people around various classes, I guess, and just activities that I was involved in. It was just easy to mix and mingle and find people that had a common interest in life, and it's amazing the friendships that I was able to establish there. I really keep up with like one person from high school, and college it's amazing how many people I still have as close friends from those days. So.
Okay, so you got out marketing.
Marketing and management. Yeah, had a couple of internships that, one was an advertising agency, and I thought that was great. It was really enjoyable to be involved in that, but it always just seemed to me like, how do you know if you got your results? Marketing was just difficult because it's hard to figure out if you're really making an impact.
Right.
And I loved psychology. I love people. And I always thought it was interesting that there's no sales major. Like, why is there still not a major in sales?
still
it's
isn't.
like,
Yes, exactly.
how's that possible?
Yeah.
How many people get out of college and go into sales? And it's like, oh, I have a degree in this, that, and the other thing, and I'm in sales. Maybe somebody should do that. But then my second internship was with AT&T. And when I was a kid, I always thought, boy, if I could work for any company, it would either be Sony or AT&T. I just thought technology was cool. And
What made that technology? What was it? Was it because of the
video games, probably.
Okay,
It's just a little
okay.
kid in television. I don't know if you guys had played in television. I don't think I ever had an Atari.
the Pong game?
Oh, I just played ping pong.
Okay.
But yeah, and I took that internship with AT&T, which was they were both pretty sought after internships, and the one at AT&T, it was interesting too. I graduated with distinction, and I was so set on going to work for AT&T, I went and convinced the sales manager of the Madison office to allow me to sell in the region outside of Madison on 100% commission. And so, yeah, it made it pretty easy to say yes. And although I wouldn't wish it on anybody
go for
else.
it, kid.
I remember I had bronchitis and like walking pneumonia, and I made $200 in a month. And I'm wearing a suit, I'm out there trying to sell phone systems. I remember my first sale was great. I drove outside of Wisconsin to this little town outside of Madison. Little town, and I swear, I was going to meet with this bank, just a little bank, in little nowhereville, and I drove through town before, and I was like, oh my, that was it? I had to back up into town to go meet these guys, and I remember how nervous I was. I don't think I asked the guy's name. I mean, I sat down, I'm like, you should see what this phone system does, you know, pull it out of a bag, and I'm putting it all together.
just show up and throw up, right?
Well, and then he says, okay, so we're interested in 3 phones, okay? So I get out my pencil and start, you know, start adding up on this sales form, and I was like, this can't be right. You know, it's $1,200. I'm like, who's gonna pay $1,200 for a phone system? I'm like, you know, here you go. And he says, oh, that's perfect, we'll take it. I was like, you're kidding me. You know, he signed it. I hauled out of that town. I'm in a 5-liter Mustang that I had just bought, and I'm just like, you know, stereo's great. I couldn't wait to get back to the office to tell everybody about
Jerry
it.
Maguire thing, right?
Yeah. Well,
The music
but
playing.
the problem was it was a 20-minute drive to every appointment. So I very quickly realized that, you know, I need to sell 5 of these a month. I can't drive 20 minutes to every deal. So what it taught me, even though I wouldn't want this on anybody else, but you better qualify your leads. And you better, because no cell phones, you know, I mean, it's a waste of time.
Right.
And when you get out to that town, you better make friends with everybody in the area, you know, because you're gonna. Next time I'm back, I'll be back in about 6 months, but you know, start making friends as fast as you can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was just after college. Those are those days.
That's pretty. So that introduced you to the telco industry, which
Yep,
was really kind of your
mainstay. Before
formation,
now.
right?
Yeah, that
Before
was-
now. So let's talk about
Version 1.0.
exactly. That's kind of your foundation. So that kind of got you into that, right?
Yep. So yeah, selling phone systems, little PBXs, or actually it was Key Systems back then, a little Avaya partner system it's now called. It's still out there, that system. I could sell it to you today, tell you why it's even better than digital. It's actually an analog phone system. But because of that, you got cards that you can plug in fax machines, and I don't have a fax machine anymore. But,
Who has one? Anybody? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
we actually don't in our office. I think when somebody says fax us, we say we don't want to work with you. You know? Sorry. Do you know what a cell phone is?
Qualification. Non-qualified.
Right.
Next. Okay.
Sorry, we'll pass that on.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think I earned my way into the actual city of Madison.
So
and
you're
I
still in Wisconsin.
still in Wisconsin for 2 years after college, and I very quickly also realized that, you know what, why am I selling one phone system at a time? Why don't I sell to a chain? And if you've ever been in the Midwest, you might be familiar with the home of the Butterburger, Culver's.
Culver's, yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
Culver's was just getting going, and I created this package, and I was like, why don't you give this to every franchisee? And they did. And so I started selling, like I didn't even have to leave my desk, and I'm like, yeah, bring them on in, you know. But I knew if I didn't get out of Madison soon, I am going to be stuck here, because I could see roots grow fast in Wisconsin. They grow deep, and it's hard to get out of there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to hit the road. And it was either here, Portland, or Seattle. And I just thought, man, I'd rather have 300 days of sun than 300 days of rain.
Good choice.
And I love them. I've always loved the mountains. When I was a little kid, we did a tour of the Midwest in an RV.
In the back of the station, right?
Yeah.
Rolling around, right? Yeah.
And I remember in the Four Corners, I had to stand in Colorado. There was just something that a magnet to get me out here. And so when I moved out here, I was only supposed to be touring, and I decided not to come back, so my boss was not happy with me. But I found my replacement. He started the job, and he just kept sending me all these thank you notes, because he's like, I just got another 8 Culvers, you know. It was great. So yeah, I moved out here, and I did all sorts of jobs for telecom-related companies, even training. It was really cool, too, driving around Colorado, training people who had just bought massive phone systems. And it was interesting, too, because you walk into those environments, and everybody had some emotion. There was either tremendous excitement about this new technology or fear beyond God. And my job, it was amazingly important how to get the right trainer out there, to get everybody, just calm down, everybody. You know, we're going to figure this out. And by the time you leave, to have everybody loving you, it was an important piece that actually layered on into the next business.
So what was it that you can think of that gave you that ability to do that for folks?
I think it was tennis. I go back to so much of teaching tennis. I mean, it's just helping people learn, helping people figure things out. And
So where'd you get your patience then? I mean, I've coached tennis too, and I know sometimes that can be a little nerve-wracking.
boy,
Anxiety.
I don't know that I have a lot of patience.
So how do you do that? I mean, I know for me, if you talk to my kids and my family, they're like, you have no patience.
Yeah.
You know, when you were in line and God was giving shit out, it was like, patience, I was probably off talking to somebody over here. And
I just
didn't
think-
get any of those. So
I like.
why do you do
I think
that?
I like seeing progress. I don't care what level anybody's
Okay.
at.
Alright,
And the
cool.
other thing though is I don't like to try to help people that don't want to be helped. You know, I've learned that a long time
That's the
ago.
qualification, right?
Yeah. So if
Okay,
somebody's
right.
there to learn and improve, I'll be side by side with them, whatever in the world they're trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a problem to solve, something physical, some way that they want to improve themselves, I'll be by their side all day long because it's how rewarding is that? You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just I'll be around that all day my whole life. So
All right.
yeah, so I moved out here. I ended up joining a big German company called Siemens.
Siemens, yeah. I think I know who they are.
Those are some fun cold calls, though. I was like, tell John his tests are ready. You know, it was just, you had all sorts of weird stuff in a big sales environment like that. And the timing of getting into telecom was great too. For AT&T, Cisco was just emerging.
Yeah.
Cisco and Bay Networks, you know, data networking, the internet, it was just forming. I feel fortunate that there wasn't the internet and cell phones when we were in college. It was like, look, you go to a place and you just hang out and talk to whoever's there and hope a friend shows up. You never really worry about, excuse me, sorry.
Someone get him an oolong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, here it is.
There you go.
You never worry about what you're missing and what else is going on. I guess you do a little bit, but that's, you know, where the drinking comes in.
Liquid refreshment, yes, exactly. Got it.
So yeah, and the timing though was these data networking and voice, and I'm learning. I'll learn both. What's the big deal? I'm learning anyways. And all the voice people were so afraid of data, and it seemed easy to me. So I became a data specialist in big voice companies. And when voice over IP started to emerge back in really like 96, 97, I jumped on it. It was either that or call centers, and I thought call centers just are big brother, and that's not my thing. So voice over IP, I could jump on that, and started coming up with these crazy ideas of alternative long distance networks over data networks, and was working with companies that actually kind of build business plans and then start selling them all this Cisco gear, and next thing you know, 480% of your quota, things were going pretty good.
Pretty good.
And then in '98, I came up with this idea of a hosted phone system. Why not take, you know, because phone systems are shockingly expensive. You know, a 50-person company could easily be $50,000. It's more expensive than every computer on every desk, and you'd never know that. So I just thought, well, why does everybody have to buy one of these things? Why not centralize one, virtually partition it up, and then sell it off as a service over voice over IP networks? Incorporate local phone service, internet, and long distance, and you got a heck of a business. So Siemens loved the idea, started flying me all over the country to present to all the biggest carriers there were as a thought leader. There was no such thing as this. I mean, I have diagrams from back in the day that had question marks on boxes like, I don't know what this box is, but we need one of these. But it gave me all the validation in the world. Every telecom company was like, yeah, that's the future. So I tried
taking
to.
an idea and actually going out and trying to.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, I didn't know any different. You know, everything starts with an idea, and I'm working, you know, I'm employee number 480,000, and I matter. So it just seemed like fun, and Siemens was flying me around the country to do it, and I was selling a bunch of voice over IP stuff anyways, so nobody knew if it was real or not. So thanks. Is that a hint? Yeah, so I tried to kick off my own company back then, but I had no idea how to do it.
So, okay, so no idea, right? So, but you did it though. You did
I
it?
didn't right away. I ended up finding a startup in '99
So
called
what
Oraser.
What did you go through in your mind? So you're like, hey, I read this idea, I want to try to do something. What
so
made you decide not to do it and then go find something else?
I got a group
Oh, our
of people
fireside,
together.
yeah, there
Holy,
we go.
oh, much better. Thank you so much. Oh, You don't have a bearskin rug, do you?
Yeah, glass of cognac.
Yeah, no doubt. Barkeep.
Throw that on.
So I actually had a group of about 6 people that we started to meet regularly. And there were some great technology people that were all interested in joining this effort. And we met 3 or 4 times, and every time we got done, and it was like, well, now what in the hell do we do? You know, and I just couldn't figure out, like, how does this work? How do you start a business? And so I knew I wanted to be a part of something. And one thing that I always thought was, it's funny, you know, coming out of college, I've been a part of some other activities where people were putting down big companies for kids coming out of college. And I thought it was the opposite, actually. I thought it was great to be a part of a big company, a leader in any industry, especially technology. The training I got was off the charts.
Yeah.
And Siemens was not only technical training, but it was like psychology training. It was the most advanced, complex sales training you could ever imagine, because we were charging so much for the same crap that everybody else had that you had to convince everybody it was better.
But there's a little bit of that creative self.
Yeah, so
This crap is better than anybody else's. Buy this.
excuse me, I'm sorry. A little under the weather. So, where were we? What? You guys sidetracked
what I'm
on crap.
interested in knowing is, you know, people always talk about, well, I have this idea, and we all have ideas,
that's it.
right? And we're like, we kind of have this obstacle where we need to know, we kind of have, what do we do next?
Yeah.
You know, so we go and we talk to other people and everything else, but then there's that element where you kind of come back and you're like, okay, I got that, but I still don't know how to get here.
So,
Right.
and I think because of that background, recognizing how important it was for me to learn from another entity, I actually was introduced to a startup company called Auraserve back in '99. It was really the first hosted PBX company there was. And when the recruiter, I go and meet these guys, there were like 5 people in the company at that point, and they start explaining the concept to me, and I just grab the pen and I start drawing on the whiteboard. I'm like, yeah, and it goes like this, and here's how you sell it, because I had already come up with all this stuff.
Right.
And they're like, I think you should work here. So I joined them.
Job.
Yeah. So I joined them, and it was an unbelievable experience, because I ended up being so close with the CEO, unbelievable business leader in town named Ken Denman. He's actually on our board now. Kudos to that guy. I was fortunate enough to work very closely with him because I knew the concept so well, and I understood what we were selling against traditional PBX. I was in a position where I was able to build all the sales tools. I was involved in all the biggest sales opportunities. I helped open 4 markets, and I was involved in trying to raise $180 million. And I was in my 20s. You know,
Nice.
so it was an awesome experience, and I was so close to the business I could see more of what it took to actually build a company. And back, yeah.
So let me ask you this. You know, people talk about, and you've mentioned it a couple times so far, this eagerness to learn, right? To seek out something and find people that can help you with an answer. What, up to that point, what gave you that, or what kind of molded you to do that? Was it, what was it? Was it just, that's just the way that you were built, or was it somebody told you that at some point in time? You've obviously experienced it a couple times so far, right? Was there something
Yeah,
that
that's a
clicked?
good
You
question.
said something earlier about doing that retrospective, if you will, at the end of the night, right? It's kind of like,
I just think
what more can I do? What more can I learn? Is there
My
something
guess
that you
is-
can put your finger on?
I don't know that I've ever really thought about that one. What pops to mind is, I think because I had so much time to myself when I was young, I had to figure stuff out on my own, and I knew by doing it on my own, by figuring out how to take the next step, I could figure out how to make my world better. I also had, unfortunately, my dad was quite alcoholic, and I had to deal with some very challenging things when I was 14, 15 years old. And, I learned a lot of good things from my parents, but I also saw pretty clearly, especially from that component, and of things that I didn't want to do. And one of the things that stands out was it's my biggest pet peeve in life is people that try to get ahead by putting other people down. I cannot stand that. That is the weakest trait. And I saw it, when I was young with an alcoholic dad. I mean, he would do that to my mom, and I just thought it was so ugly. So, that you take that kind of thing and you just, I'm not going to do those activities. My dad also internalized everything. He kept everything bundled inside and wouldn't tell anybody what was wrong, and it would just eat away at him. I won't do that. I'm not going to be, because you can see what happens, and you see it all the time. So I'd much rather surround myself with people that want to advance and improve, and boy, it sure makes for a good culture when you got a whole bunch of people on board and a team of people that all want to go. I mean, I don't care if you're playing in a sport, in a company, whatever it is. If you've got people that want to improve their careers, improve their lives, improve their contributions to others, who, it grows.
We kind of mentioned that earlier about, don't want to deal with the person that doesn't want to actually do something, right? So you got to have some element of being able to identify that, right, from your past experience, right? So you're going to say, this person wants to do something, therefore I want to help them. This person that doesn't, it's, good luck, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather be next to people that are taking steps.
Cool. So you had some really good success, and most people would identify that because they did, and you have, in the telecom industry. So you go from this telecom industry, which is, you had mentioned a couple of times, you said it's technology. You've said that at least 3 or 4 times about that was something that you had in your sights, right? You said at the beginning when you said, how could my dad sit there doing whatever without this technology, right? And then all of a sudden you're kind of shooting down that road. You work in the telco industry, and then you worked for some companies and you did some great things there, and then they sold and you did some wonderful things, right? And then you come up with this, and I want to talk about, obviously we're here about PlayerLink, but it's a different, what you guys are doing is not telco. I mean, it's something it's technology, but it's something that's completely different. The market you're in is different. Tell us a little bit about how that transpired.
Sure.
Right at the beginning, and then what was it about that was like, wow, that is really something that is just, because you went from this world over here that's just kicking butt, right?
Yep.
And you kicked some major ass over here, and to this, right? How did you make?
Can you swear in this?
I'm sorry. You can. I'm going to beat this thing to death. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Don't worry, I won't edit it. No, just kidding.
Well, shit. No,
okay, ass is in the Bible.
Yeah. So yeah.
Is that too much of a complex question?
No.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out where do I go here. So yeah, the way that this came about, PlayerLink, it really started with the end of Unity, the last company, which, by the way, with all that we've been talking about, the last company was called Unity. It's a company I was a part of shut down in 2001. I did start my own company in 2002, called it Unity, because I saw what greed did to people, and this is all about trying to share in the building of something great and getting great people. And I didn't have enough money to pay anybody, so we all had to share in some ownership, and away we went. We successfully opened 3 markets and ended up selling that to a company called Telesphere, Bill Gates funded company that actually was just announced last week, is now being acquired by Vonage.
Vonage, yeah.
So that's a nice, that turned the double into a triple.
Nice, dude. Actually, you're on their way home.
Yeah, right. So
nice one.
So
I forgot to mention that. Sorry.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm very happy for everybody that was involved in that too. That takes a lot of time and effort and money and patience to build a company that sells for over $100 million. So that's a cool thing. Yeah, that is not easy to do.
We'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah, so I was COO of the acquiring company for a year and a half, and it just it was changing so much. There were so many changes going on that just they weren't quite going in the direction I wanted, and I was ready for a break. And my lovely wife and I had our first son, and so I decided to take a little breather. And when he was 3, I started my kind of year off break, and it didn't take long, and I was thinking, what in the hell did I just do? You know, because I was running companies. I mean, I'm doing all great stuff, and now I've got this drooling person that needs to sleep every 4 hours or whatever, that I can't go to the park, let alone, you know, there's nothing.
It's all about timing at that.
Whew, that was talk about patience. That's where I like, you know, are you trying to improve? Come on, move it, boy! Oh man, there's a tennis racket. What are you dropping that for? So, anyways, he's pretty good now, though.
Yeah, I bet he is.
He better be. No.
You got to check this off.
So yeah. So when he was about to turn 1, I told my 2 co-founding partners from PlayerLink, who were both a part of the last effort, Unity. All right, I'm about ready to jump back in. Let's keep our eyes and ears peeled for, you know, what do we want to do? Of course, the easy path was getting into something in telecom.
Right.
And but one of my partners, Greg Menard, was at a barbecue with the VP of Operations of the Broncos. He started talking about the lack of technology in sports. So what the hell? Greg starts building some web-based, you know, cloud-based portal of web sports operations, and because we had this opening with the Broncos, we went and presented to them, and they said, hey, that's really cool stuff. That's not at all what we need. It's not going to work at all. So I'm thinking, looks like telecom again. But
So you couldn't sell that crap.
yeah, right. We got some other crap for you. It's not as bad as that stuff that you're doing
That's
over
other
there.
stuff you're doing over here.
Way better than that crap.
Okay.
So anyways, it was interesting because the Broncos really did give us the starting point by basically saying, look, our coaches aren't going to, we need the video on the tablet. They can't wait for any streaming. They can't have to look for anything. There's no buffering. They're not going to put up with that. They're not used to technology. Every time we've ever tried to implement any technology, it's out the window in a heartbeat. This stuff has to be super simple, and it's really video-centric. And so good luck. And my 2 main, so my 2 main partners, Greg and Robert, both unbelievable technologists, they went to town, and it was about a month and a half later, we went back to the Broncos and sat down with the kind of prototype, and their jaws hit the table. And they said, we'll take a 3-year contract. And I said, you know, Greg and Robert are all fired up, and I said, well, we haven't given you a price yet. What should this cost? What's it worth? How do we win the whole league? And we sat for about a half an hour, and I'm asking all these questions that were helping us figure out the pricing structure. That I had people, I was even like, well, what kind of discounts are you used to? And I had people that were sitting there saying, well, I mean, a discount, so you get just to set the price. I'm like, no, this is all a game, you know? You just got to figure this out. What's going to win the whole league? And so anyways, fortunately, they invited us to the Combine. This is about 2.5 years ago, the NFL Combine, because they knew we wouldn't survive if they were the only customer of ours.
Yeah.
So we went out to the Combine, and I'll tell you, the night before the Combine, it was a riot. The 3 of us shared one room that definitely had a bachelor party leave like an hour before we got there. One of the chairs was all wet. I don't know what happened there. And it stunk. It was so bad. Like, we couldn't even close the door all night long. It's like, God, just get do you have any more fans at the La Quinta in Indianapolis?
So La Quinta.
Woo!
Right?
Very authentic Mexican high-end there. But we realized, shit, we don't have a website. We're going to go and talk to all these teams tomorrow. We need a website. So we sat there, the 3 of us, you know, and I felt like a coder, you know. I'm eating my Cheetos, and we're staying up late drinking Mountain Dew or whatever, and putting a website together. So the next day, we go and meet these teams, and we signed up 5 teams like that. They all had the same need, and there wasn't anything out there doing what we did. So that was really the start of it. Next thing you know, 5 NFL teams on board in 3 months. okay, we're on to something here. We'd actually, when we started PlayerLink, it was funny too. Legally, we started in 2011, December 31st, while Kristen and I were in Florida. You know, I'm like, I gotta get this thing signed up so we can say we were open in 2011. So, but we started PlayerLink and Unity Cloud Solutions on the same day, thinking that, you know, this telecom thing that's the sure path, but we'll see what PlayerLink can do. And as it started taking off, it was like, all right, I think we're onto something. Still very sports centric. But
opportunity driven, right?
Absolutely opportunistic. This is not something that we had thought, boy, this is the need, and let's, you know, it was seeing the opportunity right there, start building it, and really taking what we heard from the Broncos and from the other teams, and then thinking about, boy, what else would I want if I was, you know, a coach or a player or a scout? And because you know, some ideas came from them, but then some of those ideas kind of stopped. And we understood what we could layer onto this thing, and that's where a lot of the collaboration tools came in that really blows this thing out to the next level. So we fortunately got a number of great partners and other businesses and relationships that I've built over the years in business that became the seed investors. I've always had this belief that I like to invest my money in some things and my time in others, and I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. So went to some friends that all jumped in on the kind of our seed round, and away we went hired 5 people, and literally next thing I knew, we're still working out of our house around that time before we hired anybody. Nobody was coming into my basement with me then. But we were up in the Highlands, and I don't know, I don't tell this story too often because it's kind of odd, but you know, the house is built in like 1910, so the basement's like this tall, right? I'm 6'3", and it's, you know, me and the bugs are sitting down there. I'm on an exercise ball with my IP phone, because we still have a $250,000 phone system that we had, you know, to run huge carrier networks for the 3 of us, and I'm getting calls in, and literally it's like, okay, Green Bay Packers, hey, back, you know, that's my team, of course. They were the second to sign, although legally they were actually the first. They had their stuff together, and they got it signed fast. But, and then the Bears call, and I'm thinking, geez, I hope they don't, you know, they're not mad at me for talking to the other. And then Chipotle called. And when I saw the caller ID come through, I'm like, what? You know, what is that? Where's that coming from? And they read an article. You know, one of the great benefits of working with all these sports teams, a lot of people are interested in sports, you know, so the PR that we were getting was through the roof for a company our size. And in some article that we were in, Chipotle they saw it and gave us a call, and you know, started to explore, well, can we use your technology to do this? And that's really when it was like, we are onto something. And
so there's another opportunity-driven
absolutely
activity.
And so, you know, we've had to advance the platform, of course, and we've fortunately, for many reasons, I think we've been able to attract some unbelievable people to be a part of this effort in all areas of the business. We've had to rebuild the platform. We're now kind of like rolling out our kind of our 3rd version of the platform. Really continuously improve step by step, and now more than ever, I think we're able to meet the needs of enterprises, and we're pulling in people in all sorts of areas that the fun part, go all the way back to what we've been talking about all night. The people that are a part of this now, they still want to continue to take steps in their career and be a part of something. And I can't tell you how fortunate I feel to get another shot at taking these steps like we did at Unity, but this time we were already way past where the last company went.
Right.
So it's
a lot of lessons learned then. Huh?
Yeah, for sure. And
but you've maintained a pretty consistent mantra, if you will, of what you said at the beginning of these conversations, or this discussion, if you will, has been helping people that really want to do something, right? Finding people that have the passion, have the energy, have the, you know, the drive, however you want to define that, but a willingness to do something.
Yep.
right? I'm not here, I would say the freeloader, but the person that's really going to be out there that's wants to participate, right? Wants to make a difference, right?
And it's not for everybody. You know, we've had some people that come in and they're drawn to the idea of being a part of a small company and entrepreneurship. And when you get in, at a distance, it's all glorious and beautiful and how freedom and all that. And it's like, well, the reality is, I mean, you should see the amount of moldy food I took out of the fridge in the last in the last week. It's unbelievable what these people do. It's like, how can you leave all your dishes in the sink like this? This is part of our team sink. Like every week, everybody has to submit pictures to me, and then I put them up, once a week, and we pick what is going to be my new backdrop of my screen. And I took pictures of the sink because there were so many dishes. I'm like, come on, you people, this is disgusting. So anyways, so those people, we have to get rid of them. No.
So you want the one that's got the nice flour? And
Yeah, right.
Cup of coffee
No, but
there and all?
it's
okay.
It's also been interesting, I think, this time around too, because I've always been this way, but it's so important to find the right fit. The worst thing in the world is when you have somebody that joins you and 3, 4, 5, 6 months into it, it's not a fit.
Yep.
And you're both looking at each other uncomfortable every day. And it's really hard to figure that out too, because especially when we have something that's pretty appealing to be a part of, we got the technology, we got an unbelievable customer base, including Red Robin. Thank you all.
You're like,
Who else is here? So including anyone else is here that I forgot to mention.
and any other customer we have.
Yeah. But we got the investors behind us, led by Ann Schutz this last time. We got the past experience. And I think we've got some really fun, exciting people. So it's a really attractive place to be. And, my intent always on, and we're hiring, we're bringing on more people. And it's tough because there are some people that they're great people, and I'd love to have them be a part of this, but there are certain things that just make it not feel like the exact right time for those people to be on board, and it's challenging because I know it's weird when anytime you're building something, you better be willing to take shots and to take punches in the gut and get past it and have people that are upset with you for reasons that you're all best intentions, but I don't know. We just hope that we can continue to keep finding those great people and have them join at the right time where they can really find the success in their career and help us in an area of the business that they can really hit their sweet spot. So,
what's been said about you that you have this I would call it a methodology, for lack of a better phrase, to exactly. Another beer.
What's all this tea and water here? I'm almost done. My voice is still holding up.
There you go. To pick the right time, right? I mean, I want to say it's necessarily conservative as being conservative, but it's being maybe it's strategic isn't the right word either. But and you said it before, having the fit, having the right time. You said that a couple times. What is the right time? And it's narrowing it down based on, I think part of your past is, from a sales perspective at least, is kind of you narrow it down, but you got to take a shot at that at some point in time. And I think what you've experienced, at least from discussions that we've had, is you're making the good decisions, knowing that those decisions, they could go either way, but the point is you've done what you need to do, and when you make the decision, you're doing it. You're hiring right now, which you told me before you're doing, which is great.
Yep.
And you guys are growing at a really good pace, which I think is awesome. My question to you, though, and that's great, I love that, is do you have time to, when you're done with the day, to go spend the time with the family?
Yeah,
Because you said that before. That's something that drove you to being
For sure.
that entrepreneur, being that own your own business thing, right?
Well, unfortunately, my wife is right there. So and she's the
Is she
best.
going to collaborate?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's good.
So she gives me as much freedom as I need to do the things that I do for work and for life and for fun. No
Great
guilt.
support system.
Unbelievable. No guilt ever, but I put it on
Yeah.
myself. I can't.
There you go.
I
Good.
can't not be there to help when I can, and it does. It's the transition to parenthood has been very challenging for me, actually, shockingly so.
We talked a little bit.
Yeah, as the kids
Yep.
advance, you know, and it definitely gets easier every day, and they're great kids. I don't think that we have an issue there, but
You're not going to send him out the door.
it's
You're not worthy.
yeah. There's nowhere to go though. You know? They're still outside the door. Let me back in. So
That's
so
classic.
yeah,
Love
it's I definitely you know, running startups for 13 years now. It's kind of a long time. I don't know. I mean, we all work hard, but I do think the best performing people have some balance in life. They don't work 20 hours a day. You know, they're not nuts bragging about, I worked 88 hours this week. I'm like, well, why? I mean, that's find another person to help you. I mean, what are you doing? Jeez, that sounds terrible. So I really try to, you know, stop as close as I can. I'm pretty regular. Like I'm in at 8, I'm out at about 5:30 or 6, off to happy hour or whatnot. You know, usually it's at home though. So yeah, it's pretty good balance. I was going to mention too one thing that you said about the timing, that in building companies all these years, it's amazing how much you have to make decisions about things you've never made decisions about. And that is tough. That's where I think change is so hard for so many people. And I've tried to pride myself on being a change agent and putting yourself in a position that is truly difficult. You know, that the human nature is don't change, right? It's just easier to just keep doing the same
status
thing.
quo,
But
yeah.
I just figure that's not a very fulfilling life. But one thing I feel like stands out, and it's if the path isn't clear, don't change. I mean, at least have a plan and a path that you can see that's going to get you where you want to go. And if not, you know, don't be nuts. There's no reason to jump
Right.
in a direction just for the sake of jumping.
Jumping, yeah.
So it's something we've always fallen back on. It's something we did it back at Unity all the time. It was like, look, even if you think the grass is greener there, is there a way we can have some clarity and feel like, yeah, I'm okay. Once you decide, go.
Go do it.
You know, go 100% and get it done. But yeah, just don't take unnecessary risks. That's about it.
Good, good. Well, I'm going to open this up for a couple questions. So, this is where it really comes good, right? Now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and actually, I think we have some gifts for people that ask good questions.
exactly. You can get their picture and it'll be on your screen, right?
Yeah, no, there's actually little
Good question,
flashlights.
bad question.
There's cool little flashlights all over the
Exactly.
place here for
Yeah,
anybody. You know,
exactly.
you guys there's some brew festival that you're all passing up. So thank you, and your reward is a flashlight.
Exactly. So, does anybody have any questions here? Just anyone? Because I got a couple more, but I'm gonna.
It's like you're getting the flashlights.
I want to be on your screen.
Yeah.
Anyone? Questions? Come on. I have some. Yes, Kimberly.
What would you do if you had it to do all over again? What would you do
All over again, do it differently. Wow, that's always a good one.
So what would I do differently if I could do it all over again? I have one thing that pops to mind. I have very few regrets in life. You make your choices and you go with it. And I made up for this one, I think. When I was in college, I had some friends that chose to travel abroad for about 4 months. And I was having so much fun in Madison that I didn't want to go. And when they came back, I felt like not a day had passed, and their stories were off the charts. And I regretted that I didn't go with them. From that point, I decided to start traveling international every year. Even when that company, Auraserve, shut down, I went 20 days in a tent through the Himalayas. And
You took the tent with you as you walked? or-
Yeah, somebody else did that
You were
part.
actually in the tent.
That's where. But and then fortunately, again, my wife had a similar belief in the things you can learn from travel about what's great about our country and what's screwed up about our country and just the way to live life differently. And we actually, after the Nepal trip, I had actually started going every other year to do international trips. Once I went to Nepal, then it became every year. It's like, I've got to do this as much as I can until the kids pop out. And even the last year, before kids showed up, we took 2 trips that year. Safari through Africa, Tanzania, and Zanzibar, and then New Year's Eve in Rio.
Oh, that was
That's not a bad year. And
a whopper right there.
so, and I had people at that point, it was funny, on New Year's Eve, I'm on the 9th floor balcony, Copacabana Beach, 2 million people on the beach in front of me. I felt like Caesar out there, And I'm just preaching, nobody could hear me. No. But I had these weird foreigners that kept saying, do you know how lucky you are? I'm like, hey, it takes a while to
get
get
it.
to this point. So, anyways, that was my regret. But once you figure it out, you can make up for things, in most cases, I think.
Gotta do something about it. Absolutely.
Thanks. Have a flashlight.
Another question? Yes.
Where do you want to take Firelink? What's your vision for it?
Yeah,
for
so
Firelink.
we think there's an opportunity to be the tablet technology leader for enterprises where the individuals need to share thoughts, experiences, and ideas. Thank you. So I think there's an opportunity for us to do that with, everybody is heading towards video. Everybody's heading towards mobility. There's a big need for security, and there's always a need for simplicity. And I think we're at the crosshairs of those components. And fortunately, even the big announcements that you see of enterprises buying tablets, it's amazing how many times the 2 things that stand out to me. One is there's usually some comment about it's for some very specific use and some custom software that was built to do this one specific little thing. And then 2, the other thing that seems to happen is it never works. I shouldn't say never, but it rarely seems to work. And the reason that a lot of these attempts don't oftentimes work is because they can't get the content to the edge, especially video-based content. So we come into those scenarios, and even if we're not like the solution that they were looking for, we make the solution that they were looking for work. So there's all sorts of components to that, whether it's any portal-based system, whether it's Yammer or a learning management system, and the content is video. How do you get it to the edge? If you don't have a great network to do it, it's tough to do. So we have a big opportunity to not only move that content around, but also give these great collaboration tools that are super simple, super engaging, right on track with the times. Tablet-based form factor for now, although we can work on other devices as well. But that's where we're targeted.
One more question. Yeah, Ryan.
What are your thoughts? Are you concerned at all about the decrease in sales of tablets?
I guess I didn't know that was happening. Is that happening?
It's plateauing, but it's plateauing because it's so strong already. So there's a long life cycle for those tablets, so they're just not buying more, they're already on. It's also moving towards the phone.
There you go. There's your answer. Cool.
So
It's going to be in your hand.
I also, to even get to a $100 million business, this is a big world. You don't have to win the whole market. So, there's a lot of tablets out there already. There's going to be a lot more purchased over the next 5 to 10 years. I'm sitting at startup grind. We're not IBM yet.
You're on your way.
Well,
You guys are doing
there's
well.
I think we can achieve a lot of our goals even if there's a slowdown in tablet purchases. There's also, you look at the LA school system. I don't know, what was that, 25,000 tablets, and they're basically shutting the program down for all sorts of reasons. I don't know that we'll be the right solution for that, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity for us to come in, red capes in hand and all that, and and try to save those failing projects because they had all the right intentions. And fortunately, I think a lot of our success also comes from the fact that we think about networks. We get networks. That was our background. That's all we did. So yeah, video doesn't work over a T1 real well. And sure, you can stream some video over your tiny little phone, 240p. It doesn't. You're not high quality. You're not pushing big video files. And sure, cell phone networks will get better. It's going to be a while till it's truly everywhere. But the last thing, and our head of sales, Scott Hansen, I love his comment. His last gig was, he was some level VP, whatever, at Comcast. Had about 2,000 people on his team. Came and joined us with 2, so he thought we were onto something too. But he said, at Comcast, we didn't have a bandwidth issue. If anybody doesn't have a bandwidth issue, it's Comcast. We had a focus issue. And that's where we also come in, because it's getting the content to the device is one thing, but pulling the wrong stuff off, that's just as important. Helping people focus on what's important to do their job. And that's what we really enable. When you think about the average football team, for real, it's shocking. They push and pull 40,000 gigabits of content per team per month on our platform. That's across 100 people. Doesn't all fit on the tablet, of course, but it's because they're pulling, it's constantly changing. Now that gave us a lot of confidence to go into enterprise. But anyways, I'm kind of veering off, but the point is there's plenty of opportunity for us to leverage the technology that we have today that solves this problem of content control. But then really, even when other people come along and start figuring that out, or networks get great, it still comes down to focus and ease of use for real collaborative tools. Yeah. So, cool. I'm sorry, what was that last?
Just keeping it secure.
Keeping it secure, keeping it simple, keeping it engaging. Don't make people look for their homework. Make it fun to learn, and make learning a part of your everyday workplace. And that's kind of what we do, is make it easy to keep advancing for those people to do their jobs, do it well, and take the best practices of your top performers and help spread that across your whole environment. Even for those real distant, disconnected people, now they're fully engaged. So
Awesome. Cool. Well, with that was good. That was like a good
little sales part there at the end.
Just they slide that across the table.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. Really
Great.
appreciate that.
Thanks, man. I'll do it. Wash that hand.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. Oh, did I get you?
No, that's all right.
Really appreciate having. Oh my gosh. Okay.
You laughing
So
nice.
I'm sorry. I won't dry clean those for
A
you.
lot of stuff in my pockets.
Exactly. So appreciate y'all showing up tonight. We're here for a little while. I was going to be here. His team's going to be here for a while. So enjoy yourself a little bit. Next month, we have the CEO from Ready Talk here. So come next month. Every second Thursday of the month. That's what we're doing for Startup Grind. So come back. We appreciate it.
All
Thank you all.
right. Thank you all. Thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy. Sorry.
No, that's all right.